The red bow on the BMW gleamed under Jason's Christmas lights like a cruel reminder. Evelyn Carter stood at her kitchen window, hands pressed against the glass, watching her son hand Gloria the keys. "Merry Christmas, Mom Gloria," Jason called proudly, using that ridiculous title that still made Evelyn's stomach twist. Sophie clapped her hands together, squealing, "Jason, this is perfect. Gloria, you look amazing in it." Evelyn's lips pressed into a thin smile. She wasn't outside in the cold celebrating. She was inside, holding a plastic pink piggy bank that rattled with 3 lonely dollar bills. That was her gift. $3 after 35 years of sacrifice. She remembered Jason's words as he'd handed it over, his tone dripping with the patronizing kindness he'd mastered since marrying Sophie. "It's symbolic, Mom. You're always saving money. We thought this would be perfect." Perfect. Evelyn had smiled sweetly then, the way mothers do when they're handed scraps and expected to call them treasures. "Thank you, Jason. How thoughtful." She had swallowed the sting, but inside her heart cracked. Now she watched Gloria lean over the BMW's leather interior, Sophie clinging to her arm like they were lifelong best friends instead of family for barely 8 months. Gloria had swept into their lives 2 years earlier, not long after Henry's passing. She showed up to family gatherings with perfectly styled silver hair, designer bags, and a smile polished enough to charm anyone. Somehow she had earned the name Mom Gloria, while Evelyn, Jason's actual mother, had been demoted to just Mom. Evelyn let the piggy bank rest on the counter, next to a stack of unsent Christmas cards that had cost more than her entire gift. The December wind rattled the kitchen window, and she thought bitterly, $3 for 35 years of my life. She had spent the morning cooking their Christmas dinner, working herself to the bone. Honey-glazed ham, homemade rolls, green bean casserole from scratch, and even the trifle Sophie demanded, though nobody else touched it. Her feet ached, her back screamed, and her hands were raw from hours of scrubbing. She was exhausted. Yet when Jason and Sophie finished, they barely offered thanks before dashing off to parade Gloria's new car around the neighborhood. Evelyn stood in her kitchen alone, the piggy bank clutched in her palm. The front door opened briefly, Sophie's chirpy voice filling the hall. "We're taking Mom Gloria out for a drive." It wasn't a question, not even an invitation, just a statement. Jason added, "Thanks for dinner, Mom. We'll see you next week." Then the slam of doors, the purr of a $60,000 engine, and laughter fading down the street. Evelyn's kitchen fell silent. Only the hum of the dishwasher and the ticking of Henry's beloved grandfather clock remained. She turned slowly and noticed something strange. Gloria's purse, left on the counter beside the piggy bank. It was a black leather Kate Spade bag, sleek and expensive, probably worth more than Evelyn's monthly groceries. Her eyes narrowed. Gloria had forgotten it in her excitement, and Evelyn picked it up, weighing its richness in her hands. Inside she spotted a rhinestone phone case, a prescription bottle, and a wallet bursting with cards and cash. Careless woman, Evelyn thought. How do you leave behind something so important? A smile tugged at her lips. "Well, I'll just make sure nothing is missing before I return it. That's what good mothers do." Upstairs in her bedroom, Evelyn carefully emptied the purse onto her dresser. Gloria's wallet was a goldmine. Nearly $400 in cash, credit cards from every major bank, and loyalty cards for Nordstrom, Saks, and Tiffany. But what really caught Evelyn's eye were the folded papers tucked behind the driver's license. Bank statements. 3 of them. Gloria wasn't just wealthy. She was loaded. Evelyn's eyes widened as she scanned the numbers. Gloria's checking account alone made Jason's BMW gift look like pocket change. "Well, well," Evelyn whispered. "You've been hiding quite a life, haven't you?" She sank into Henry's old recliner, the one Jason had once tried to convince her to throw away because it didn't match Sophie's decorating. The chair creaked comfortingly beneath her. She opened Gloria's prescription bottle and studied the label. Anxiety medication, filled just 2 months ago. The timing was interesting. Right around when Gloria had started asking Evelyn endless questions about insurance policies, pensions, and doctor appointments. "Just want to make sure you're taken care of, honey," Gloria had said. Evelyn frowned. Taken care of or taken advantage of? Her thoughts were interrupted by the shrill ring of the landline. Evelyn answered, her voice cautious. "Mrs. Carter." The caller identified himself as Officer Patterson. "We're calling about a missing person report. Linda Chen. Our records say she was last seen at your address today." Evelyn blinked. "Linda Chen," she repeated smoothly. "I don't know anyone by that name." The officer continued. "Her son filed the report. He said she wasn't answering her phone." Evelyn's mind raced. Son. Gloria had never mentioned having children. "Yes, we had Christmas dinner today," Evelyn admitted carefully. "But she left with my son and daughter-in-law. They took her for a drive in her new BMW. The officer paused. "BMW?" Evelyn let the detail linger. "Perhaps you should contact them. Jason Carter and Sophie Carter." After hanging up, Evelyn glanced back at Gloria's phone buzzing relentlessly on the dresser. 23 missed calls. Dozens of frantic texts. "Mom, where are you? Please call me back." Evelyn's eyebrows arched. So Gloria wasn't a lonely widow after all. She had a son who cared enough to call the police when she disappeared. Evelyn's curiosity got the better of her. She opened Gloria's photo gallery. At first, it was filled with cheerful snapshots from recent months. Jason and Sophie's anniversary dinner, the Labor Day barbecue, Sophie's birthday party. And there was Gloria, front and center in all of them, tucked between Jason and Sophie as though she'd always belonged. Evelyn's chest tightened. She scrolled further back, and her blood ran cold. Older photos showed documents, bank statements, property records, even a picture of Evelyn's social security card from her jewelry box upstairs. Her hands shook as she whispered, "She's been documenting me." The grandfather clock chimed 7. Jason and Sophie had been gone nearly 2 hours. Evelyn repacked the purse, snapping photos of the bank statements with her own phone before zipping everything shut. She was no fool. If Gloria was playing a game, then Evelyn would learn the rules. When the BMW engine purred back into the driveway, Evelyn positioned herself in the kitchen, purse in hand. She plastered on a smile as the door opened. "Oh, Gloria, you left this behind," she said sweetly. Gloria's eyes widened, then softened into a dramatic sigh. "Oh my goodness, Evelyn. Thank you so much. I can't believe I forgot it. I must be getting old." She laughed lightly, the sound like nails on a chalkboard to Evelyn now. Evelyn noticed the quick flicker of relief across Gloria's face as she checked the wallet. Her tone was syrupy. "I hope you enjoyed showing off your beautiful gift." Gloria's lips curled. "Oh, we did. Jason is such a thoughtful boy. You raised him well." The word boy stung. Jason appeared, coat already in hand. "Mom, we should get going. Early morning tomorrow." Evelyn raised an eyebrow. Just hours ago, he'd been glowing with pride over his gift. Now he was rushing out the door like Christmas was an obligation. Evelyn's voice was calm but pointed. "Actually, Jason, before you go, I had a call from the police. Something about Gloria being reported missing." The color drained from Gloria's cheeks. "Missing? That's ridiculous. I'm standing right here." Evelyn leaned on the counter, smiling. "That's what I told Officer Patterson. Apparently, your son filed the report." "My son?" Gloria stammered. "Oh, well, yes. Brian can be overprotective. Ever since his father passed." She waved a hand dismissively. Sophie's eyes widened. "Wait, you have a son. Gloria, you never mentioned children." Silence hung heavy. Gloria's gaze darted from face to face. Finally she forced a chuckle. "We're not very close. He lives in Seattle. Different lives, you know how it is." Evelyn's smile sharpened. "How wonderful that he worries so much about you. That's precious." Jason shifted uncomfortably. "Mom, we really need to go." Through the window, Evelyn watched them walk to their cars. Gloria moved fast, phone already pressed to her ear. Jason and Sophie lagged behind, whispering. As their taillights faded, Evelyn sat at her computer, curiosity burning. Brian Chen, Seattle, she typed. Within 15 minutes, she had his Facebook profile pulled up. Her breath caught. Brian wasn't just any son. He was a successful attorney specializing in elder law and estate fraud. His page was full of smiling family photos with Gloria. This wasn't a distant son. This was a devoted one. Evelyn scrolled through Brian's posts. Mom visiting again in October. Family dinner with Mom in September. Mom's advice about the Peterson case saved the day. Evelyn clicked the Peterson case out of instinct and her heart froze. It was an article about a widow defrauded by people she trusted, who gained access to her finances through emotional manipulation. Brian had led the case. Evelyn whispered. So, Gloria pretends to be alone, worms her way into families, and then, she trailed off, her pulse racing. She called Jason's cell. Straight to voicemail. She tried the house and Sophie answered, voice tight. Hi, Evelyn. Jason's in the shower. Evelyn smiled into the receiver. That's fine, dear. I just wanted to ask about your finances. With such a generous gift, I was curious how you two manage so well. Too long. We're doing fine, Sophie said sharply. Jason got a promotion. Wonderful, Evelyn said lightly. When? Another pause. Recently. Look, I should go. She hung up. Evelyn set the phone down, her suspicion confirmed. People who truly succeed, Evelyn thought, brag about it. They don't get defensive. She leaned back in Henry's chair, staring at the piggy bank on the table. $3. $3 for 35 years of sacrifice, while Gloria sat in her BMW with a bank account spilling over. Evelyn whispered, something's wrong here. And I'm not the only victim in her game. The house felt colder, quieter, as if warning her that she was stepping into something bigger than she could see. The night passed slowly. Evelyn barely slept, sipping coffee and gathering everything she could on Gloria and Brian. By sunrise she had a plan. At 8 sharp, she called Brian's law office in Seattle. Good morning, dear, she told the secretary, her sweetest grandmother voice. This is Evelyn Carter from Virginia. I just wanted to check on Brian's mother. She had a little incident yesterday. The secretary's voice was warm. Oh, you must be the family friend she's been visiting. Mr. Chen was so worried yesterday. He calls her every day. Evelyn's stomach twisted. Every day. Gloria had lied about everything. Evelyn leaned closer to the receiver. How long has Linda, Gloria, been in Virginia? She asked gently. The secretary replied without hesitation. Since September. He misses her terribly, but she insisted on staying for the holidays with her new friends there. Evelyn froze. September. That meant Gloria had been planning this infiltration for 4 months. And she had deliberately pushed her son away during Christmas so he wouldn't interfere. Well, Evelyn said sweetly, she's certainly become part of our family. My son even bought her a brand new BMW yesterday. Silence crackled on the other end. Finally, the secretary said, shocked. Mrs. Carter, Gloria doesn't need anyone to buy her a car. She has her own. She's very wealthy. Evelyn ended the call, her mind racing. Gloria was rich, had a devoted son, and her own vehicle. Yet Jason had spent $60,000 to buy her another car. None of it made sense. Her phone rang, Jason's name flashing across the screen. Mom, we need to talk, he said curtly. Evelyn forced cheer into her voice. Good morning to you too, sweetheart. How did you sleep? Jason didn't answer. Sophie and I are coming over. We'll be there in an hour. Evelyn set the phone down slowly. His tone wasn't warm. It was the tone of a man preparing for an intervention. She spent the next hour readying herself, not with makeup or dresses, but with information. She laid out Gloria's bank statements, her prescription bottle, and her notes about Brian Chan on the kitchen table, ready to use if needed. When Jason and Sophie arrived, they looked like they were heading into a courtroom. Jason in his navy business suit, Sophie in her handling difficult clients dress. They sat stiffly at the table. Jason began, voice tight. "Mom, Gloria is very upset. She feels like you violated her privacy yesterday." Evelyn raised an eyebrow. "Violated? By keeping her purse safe." Jason's jaw clenched. "She thinks you went through her things." Evelyn smiled calmly. "Well, of course I did. What if something had fallen out? What if there was medication that needed to be refrigerated? I was being responsible." Sophie leaned forward, her tone dripping with false concern. "Evelyn, Gloria feels uncomfortable about the questions you asked, about her son, about her finances." Evelyn met her eyes without flinching. "I was making conversation. I thought it was wonderful that she has family who cares so much." Sophie faltered, but Jason pressed on. "The thing is, Mom," Jason continued carefully, "Gloria's relationship with her son is complicated. She doesn't like to talk about it." Evelyn's eyes narrowed slightly. "Complicated. Interesting. The police didn't describe it that way when they called. They said her son filed a missing person report after she didn't come home." Jason's face darkened. Sophie shot him a nervous glance. "Linda, Gloria explained that. Her son has control issues. He worries too much. He overreacts." Evelyn tilted her head. "Is that so? Then why does he have photographs of them spending holidays together?" "Because I've seen them." Jason blinked. "You've seen them?" Evelyn leaned forward, her voice low. "Yes. On his public social media. Brian Chen, elder law attorney. A man devoted to his mother. Quite a different picture than the lonely widow Gloria paints." Sophie's hands fidgeted in her lap. "Mom, maybe you're reading too much into this." Evelyn chuckled bitterly. "Reading too much? She's been documenting my house, my personal papers, my life. Tell me, was it her idea for you to buy a BMW, or yours?" The silence that followed was deafening. Jason finally spoke, his voice sharp. "Enough, Mom. You're making this sound sinister. Gloria is kind, generous, and she cares about us." Evelyn's patience cracked. "Cares about you? Jason, she's manipulating you. I saw her bank statements. She's richer than you can imagine. Why would she let you buy her a $60,000 car if she could afford 10 of them herself?" Jason flushed, anger flashing across his face. "Because she didn't ask for it. I wanted to. And maybe if you weren't so suspicious, you'd see that." Evelyn sat back, her heart aching at his blindness. Sophie spoke next, her tone softer. "Evelyn, listen. Gloria has been good to us. She helps around the house, she gives advice, she—" Evelyn cut her off. "She inserts herself. She's not helping, Sophie. She's positioning. Do you know what she's been asking me about? My pension. My insurance. My finances. Why would she care about those things unless she planned to use them?" Sophie's lips parted, but no words came. Jason's jaw tightened. "This is ridiculous. Gloria isn't out to hurt anyone." Evelyn's eyes burned. "Then why hide her son? Why pretend she's alone? Answer that." Jason didn't answer. He pushed back his chair and stood, voice rising. "I can't believe you, Mom. You're paranoid. Gloria makes us happy, and instead of supporting us, you're trying to tear her down." Evelyn's heart squeezed painfully. "Jason, I'm trying to protect you. You're my son. Can't you see she's using you?" His face hardened. "No, Mom. What I see is jealousy. Gloria treats us with respect. You're just bitter because you don't like sharing the spotlight." Evelyn flinched at the cruelty in his tone. The words hung between them like broken glass. Sophie touched Jason's arm, murmuring, "Let's go." They both rose. Evelyn's voice cracked slightly as she called after them. "Jason, please. Just think about it. Look deeper before it's too late." Jason didn't look back. The front door closed firmly behind them, and Evelyn was left in silence again. She sat at her kitchen table, staring at the piggy bank and Gloria's shadow that loomed larger by the hour. Evelyn whispered to the empty room. Jealousy?
No.
Survival. Evelyn sat for hours after Jason and Sophie left, staring at the piggy bank on the table. The $3 bills inside rustled faintly every time she shifted, mocking her. Henry's voice echoed in her mind. Always trust your instincts, Evie. They won't fail you. Her instincts screamed now. Gloria hadn't stumbled into their family. She'd chosen them, mapped them out, and planted herself firmly in Jason's heart. Evelyn whispered to herself, if Jason won't see it, then I'll make him see it. She pulled Gloria's bank statement photos back up on her phone. Numbers don't lie. The next morning, Evelyn dressed deliberately. Not in her usual cozy sweaters, but in a crisp navy blouse and dark slacks Henry used to say made her look formidable. She packed a small notebook, tucked her phone into her bag, and drove to the library. She needed information about Sunset Investments, about Gloria Chan, about anything that would link her story together. The librarian, a kindly woman with silver glasses, tilted her head when Evelyn asked. Sunset Investments. That name pops up sometimes in fraud investigations. Evelyn's pulse quickened. Could you print what you find? She asked. Back at home, Evelyn spread the papers across her kitchen table. Sunset Investments was tied to 3 lawsuits over the last decade, all involving elderly clients who'd lost large sums of money to questionable investments. Each time, the company denied wrongdoing but settled quietly out of court. Evelyn muttered. And Gloria just happens to get deposits from them. She snapped photos of the documents and filed them neatly. The puzzle was forming. Still, one question gnawed at her. Was Jason a victim, or had he chosen to play along? That evening, Evelyn dialed Brian Chen's number. To her surprise, he answered himself. His voice was brisk but polite. This is Brian Chen. Evelyn steadied herself. Mr. Chen, my name is Evelyn Carter. I believe I may have some information about your mother. Silence followed. Then his voice sharpened. Who are you exactly? Evelyn explained slowly, carefully. Christmas dinner, the BMW, the missing person report. Brian cut in. My mother's with you. She told me she was spending time with family friends. Evelyn's lips tightened. She's been more than just a guest here, Mr. Chen. Brian's tone hardened. Mrs. Carter, forgive me, but this sounds confusing. My mother is wealthy, independent, and very private. She wouldn't accept gifts from strangers. Evelyn exhaled. That's exactly my point. She has you convinced she's independent. But she let my son spend $60,000 on a BMW for her. There was a pause. Impossible, Brian murmured. She has her own car. She would never. Evelyn cut in sharply. Check her accounts. Sunset Investments deposited $15,000 just last week. Does that sound like an innocent family vacation to you? The line went silent. I'll call you back, Brian finally said, then hung up. Evelyn sat staring at the phone, her heart pounding. She hadn't planned to tip her hand so soon, but something inside her told her it was worth the risk. She pushed away the coffee cup on the table and whispered, Your move, Gloria. Outside, the December wind rattled the window panes, but Evelyn no longer felt powerless. For the first time in days, she felt like Henry was sitting beside her, nodding approvingly. The following day, Jason showed up at her door alone. His face was tight, his shoulders stiff. Mom, we need to talk. Evelyn stepped aside, letting him in. He didn't sit, he paced. Gloria says you called her son. Why would you do that? Evelyn folded her hands calmly. Because I thought he deserved to know the truth. Jason turned on her, eyes flashing. You embarrassed her. Cried Mom. She said you're trying to destroy her. Evelyn's chest burned, but she kept her voice steady. And you believed her tears. Jason slammed his palm on the table. Enough, Mom. Gloria is good to us. She loves me and Sophie. Why can't you accept that? Evelyn's eyes narrowed. Because love doesn't drain your savings. Love doesn't pretend to be alone when you have family. Love doesn't take advantage of a grieving man desperate to please. Jason's mouth opened, then closed. His hands shook, but his voice was cold. If you can't respect her, then maybe we need distance. Evelyn's breath caught. Distance. From your mother. Jason looked away. If that's what it takes. The words sliced through Evelyn like glass. She gripped the edge of Henry's chair, steadying herself. Jason, I raised you. I carried you when you were sick. I worked nights to pay for your education. And now you're ready to cast me aside for a woman you've known barely 2 years. Jason's lips trembled, but his jaw stayed locked. Gloria understands me. She supports us. Evelyn's heart clenched, but she forced herself to whisper. No, Jason. She's replacing me. His eyes flickered with guilt, just for a second before hardening again. When Jason left, the silence felt heavier than ever. Evelyn stared at the door long after it closed. She whispered Henry's name as though he might answer. Finally, she stood and poured herself another cup of coffee. If Jason won't listen, she said aloud, then I'll build my case. And when the truth comes out, he'll have no choice but to see it. She gathered the bank statements, Gloria's prescription bottle, and her Sunset Investments printouts into a neat folder. Evelyn Carter wasn't done, not by a long shot. 2 days later, Evelyn received an unexpected visitor. Brian Chen himself stood on her porch, tall, sharp-suited, eyes filled with questions. Mrs. Carter, he asked. Evelyn nodded, her heart thudding. Yes, please come in. He glanced around the modest home, his jaw tightening when he spotted Gloria's purse still resting on the counter. So it's true, he murmured. Evelyn gestured toward the table where she had laid out the bank statements, the Sunset Investments documents, and her careful notes. She's been weaving herself into my family. And my son can't see it. Brian studied the papers silently. Finally he sighed. My mother, she has patterns. After my father passed, she became restless. She attaches herself to families, tells them she's alone, and lets them spoil her. I thought she'd stopped. Evelyn leaned forward. She's more than restless. She's collecting information. Look, she's been photographing my house, my papers, even Henry's death certificate. Brian's face darkened. That's not just manipulation. That's preparation. For fraud. Evelyn's voice softened. So you believe me? Brian nodded. I believe you. But Jason needs to hear this from me. That evening, Brian requested a meeting. Evelyn invited Jason and Sophie, though she knew Jason would resist. When he arrived and saw Brian sitting in her living room, his face tightened. What's going on? Jason demanded. Evelyn spoke gently. Jason, this is Brian Chen, Gloria's son. Jason frowned. She told me they weren't close. Brian's voice was calm but firm. She lied. We speak every day. And I know exactly what she's been doing here. Jason shook his head, defensive. No. She wouldn't. Brian cut him off. She would. She has. Jason's face flushed with anger. You don't know her like I do. Brian leaned forward. I know her better than anyone. She's my mother. And I've spent years cleaning up the messes she leaves behind. Tell me, Jason, who paid for that BMW? Jason faltered. I did. Brian's eyes narrowed. She has her own car. She has her own money. Yet she let you spend $60,000. Doesn't that strike you as strange? Sophie's face turned pale. She whispered, Jason. Evelyn slid the Sunset Investments documents across the table. She's been receiving deposits from a company tied to multiple elder fraud cases. Jason, she's playing you. Jason stared at the papers, his hands trembling. No. Gloria wouldn't. Brian's tone was steady. She would. And she's done it before. Evelyn's not your enemy, Jason. She's your mother. She's trying to protect you. Jason's eyes darted between Brian, Sophie, and Evelyn, his defenses crumbling. He whispered, "But she loves us." Evelyn's heart broke at his desperation. "No, son. She loves control." Just then the front door opened. Gloria swept inside without knocking, her designer coat draped over her shoulders, her smile bright and brittle. "Ah, I see we're having a family meeting," she said lightly. But her eyes froze when she saw Brian. "Mother," he said coldly. Her mask slipped for a fraction of a second. Then she recovered. "Brian, what a surprise. I was just about to call you." Evelyn folded her arms. "Sit down, Gloria. It's time we all spoke honestly." Gloria laughed, a hollow sound. "Honestly? Evelyn, really, you've been stirring trouble since the day we met." She turned to Jason, voice softening. "Jason, darling, don't let them poison you. I love you like my own." Jason opened his mouth, but Brian's voice cut through. "Enough, Mom. I know about the photographs, the bank statements, the Sunset Investments money. You're done." Gloria's smile wavered. "You don't understand." "No," Brian snapped. "I understand perfectly. You've been conning families for years. But this time you went too far." Silence fell. Sophie's hands shook as she whispered, "Jason, she used us." Jason's face went pale. His eyes shifted to Evelyn, full of shame. "Mom. Sorry. I didn't listen." Evelyn's throat tightened, but she placed a gentle hand over his. "It's not too late, Jason. We can put this right." Gloria's face hardened. "Oh, please. You think you're so clever. Jason, you're nothing without me. Your mother doesn't understand you the way I do." Jason finally looked up, his voice firm. "No, Gloria. My mother raised me. You just used me." Gloria's expression cracked. She turned to Brian, voice trembling. "You'd side with strangers over me? Your own mother." Brian's jaw clenched. "You stopped being a mother the moment you started exploiting others. You need help, Mom. Serious help." Gloria's shoulders slumped, the fight draining out of her. For the first time, Evelyn saw not a polished manipulator, but a tired woman whose lies had finally caught up with her. Still, Evelyn felt no pity. Some wounds couldn't be excused. After Gloria left with Brian, the house was quiet again. Jason sat with his head in his hands, Sophie silently holding his arm. Evelyn moved to the window, looking out at the frost-covered garden Henry had once tended. "You'll always have a mother, Jason," she said softly. "And I'll never trade you for money or lies." Jason rose, his voice breaking. "I'm sorry, Mom. I should have trusted you." Evelyn pulled him into her arms, tears finally falling. Outside, the BMW sat in the driveway, its red bow sagging in the wind, a monument to misplaced trust, and a reminder of how easily family